Right. Hello, friends. Happy Fierce Female Friday. Oh my goodness. Like, could we just all take a collective breath? What a wild ride of a week. I mean, every emotion for all of us, everybody I've talked to this week is so thankful it's Friday. And we get to do our favorite thing, and that is hang out together as we close out the week. So, for those of you who are joining us here live, let us know where you're watching from. And for those of you who are watching the replay, do the same. We still love to know where you're watching from while we are well into our weekend. So keep in touch with us. And for those of you who have not joined us in the past on a live, welcome. We have had actually a few hundred people join the group over the last month. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Very exciting. We love to know what's going on in your world. So what's your win this week? Share with us your win this week. Drop it in the comments. We'll have a little dance party here for sure. There aren't very many updates in the WomanUP community that we haven't shared before. We, of course, have today, yay, we have next Friday at 2 p.m. Yay, we have Jen Branchini joining us, Madam Treasurer of the California Association of Realtors. And then on the 30th, which happens to be our guest's birthday, we actually have 3 powerhouse women coming to join us for the wisdom session, and it will be moderated by Sarah. It's all going to be about, we're bringing all of these conversations around the paths to building wealth and financial management. We're going to bring it all together, tie a big, beautiful WomanUP bow on it, and get everyone started on what they can do to start getting better in touch with their wealth. Sarah, what's going on with the association?
Ooh, we do hard things. Did you say Laurie's birthday is April 30th?
Yes,
So
it is.
Taurus, May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Okay. Star Wars Day, baby. Can you believe it?
It's, 70s kids. What can we say? We are at CAR getting ready for our legislative day, which is April 27th. And it's an entire day, and I'll post the link to register in the chat. It's free for CAR members. We have Senate President Pro Tem Tony Atkins, Assembly Member Blanca Rubio. We have Dan Walters, and our CEO Joel Singer will be giving a keynote, of course, and tons of good stuff. And it's really a great way if you want to take action, you want to get involved in the legislative process. It's a really fun way to get your toe in the water. And then the other thing, we really are focused in on creating more engagement and diversity in our committee selection process. So that is opening. It's live on car.org. Some key deadlines are May 14th, which is a deadline to nominate yourself for committee leadership and get recommendations. And then Friday, July 23rd is the date to submit any committees that you want to be a part of. So I highly recommend this community get involved. If you're just thinking about it, you can reach out to me, Sarah S. at car.org. If you have questions about the process, governance at car.org is a great resource. And we can post those links and info in the chat. And really, that's it for CAR right now. That's all I can handle.
Did you say that there's a way for realtors in CAR to submit where they want to serve?
Absolutely.
I want to say that again.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, I want to serve here. How amazing is that?
And we've never really, it's always been like the way things are done. We share the links, and all of the people who know how to navigate it know what to do. So we're really taking the lid off of that and sharing it with industry leaders, different groups, and our multicultural organizations as well, because we want diversity more engagement, diversity of thought, diversity of backgrounds in and on our boards and committees. So that's
Amen. Practicing what we preach. I love that. I love it. And we're actually going to be talking about that with our special guest. So let me read to you a little bit about this amazing woman here. So let me start by sharing that this woman is my very first best friend. She's the first friend I ever had over for tea. She is the one who I have played countless hours of store with in our bedrooms, in my grandparents' backyard, in a ginormous tent. And if you haven't guessed by now, Laurie Levin is my sister. I am so freaking excited about this. I have been waiting for the moment where I can introduce all of you to her here in the WomanUP community. She has been part of the group for many years. She's been to a couple of admin events along the way, but she hasn't been physically to a WomanUP yet. And let me read to you about her, a little bit about her business, a little bit about life, and then we're going to dig into a conversation with her about why we should all start asking ourselves if we're working with someone like her and celebrating it, or if we're not, making a change. Because when you hear what she does to support business owners, it's going to blow your mind. Okay, so Laurie is a business banking consultant. She's with US Bank, not the first bank she's worked with. And we're going to talk about that too. She supports business owners through consultation and education to make empowered decisions with their finances. Yay! She lives in Forestville, California. So she was one of you in California who was running from those fires. However, her fabulous home survived. Yay! She is nestled among the tall redwoods on the banks of the Russian River with her rad wife, Corinne, their Frenchie, Jupiter Jones, who makes the weirdest sounds, and their professional mouser, Gracie Mae Jones. And what she didn't mention in her bio is that she is also surrounded by ceramic creatures, gnomes, kitties, mice, all sorts of amazing little ceramic statues, which is one of her and Corinne's fabulous weekend warrior fun things that they do. She is driven in business to truly educate business owners like all of us, giving direct access to a business banker they can trust to meet where they are. We've said that with so many of our programs in the past, that we aren't trying to reach people at one aspect of their career. We're saying, where are you now? How can we serve you? Laurie does that too. She also wants to understand where they're headed so that she can give them the best recommendations. She values well-being, community involvement, personal growth, adventure, and abundance, and aligns her personal and professional goals with these core values. I think I know where she might have learned that. Her career in financial services began in 2004. I can't believe that. And today she has her dream role with a company she is proud to be part of every single day. When she is not working, you will find her clipped into her Peloton. Her leaderboard name is Leslie Anapelli, and I will make sure to drop that in the comments so our Peloton sisterhood can get connected with her. She also loves to putter around in her food and flower gardens. Our grandmother smiles from heaven when she does that. Or snuggling the two most adorable grandbabies on the planet, Osario Phoenix and Indigo Rose. Lives her best life clearly. Welcome, Laurie.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you're here. Okay, so you are new to many of the people inside our community. So let's start at the very beginning.
Very good place to start.
You knew that was coming, right? How did you get into the financial services industry? What's your story?
It's accidental. I'm an accidental banker. There are more accidental bankers than you could possibly imagine. So it's a very common thing. I did not, as a child, have a desire to be a banker. I wanted to be a solid gold backup dancer. That was definitely the plan. Uh,
Yeah.
it wasn't the career path I ended on, and banking was not what I thought I was going to do. So, as my lovely sister so uh, eloquently said, I've been in banking or financial services since 2004. So how did that happen? I was working as a medical insurance biller in a chiropractor's office. That sounds like where you get your banking career started, right? uh, I found that I was really great with people and asking them to pay their bills and actually collecting money for doctors who were too busy doing something else to go and collect the money that was owed to them.
Mm.
I loved it. I also learned how to do patient education then, letting them know they weren't seeing a chiropractor because they were in pain, that it was something they could do ongoing to really live their fullest physical health. And so that was the education portion of it. And then there was a patient who would visit often. Her name was Patricia. Last name left out on purpose. So Patricia was an insurance agent, and she loved what I was doing and asked if I would consider just having a chat with her managing partner. And I had really no desire. I had no desire to do that. And then she said one thing that flipped the switch for me, and that was I could have the freedom in my schedule, and I could earn without a cap. So I was working as an insurance biller. I was getting paid an hourly rate. I had scheduled times to arrive, scheduled times to leave. And while that felt like security, it also meant juggling school schedules and missing field trips and things that were important to me. And so I took a leap of faith and studied for my life insurance exam, became life and health certified, then long-term care certified, and eventually my investment licenses, Security 6 and 63. And I was very successful in that. I loved it. I loved that my niche market were senior citizens who wanted to see me during the hours my kids were at school. So it worked out really well.
So good.
And then life happened. I had a very traumatic experience in my personal life, and I needed a fresh start. And that fresh start for me meant moving. So I moved from where I have since returned to, so here in Sonoma County. I moved to Orange County, so Southern California. And that relocation was very difficult for me to do in that line of work. It was difficult to give the clients that I already had the services that they were used to having, that one-on-one, face-to-face. This wasn't an option. We weren't Zooming, right?
It's so true, right? There was no such thing.
Right. And so I actually talked to an old elementary school friend that I connected with on social media, and that person suggested that I take the skills and knowledge that I had and go to the bank. And I thought, I know nothing about banking. How will I ever work at a bank? And I got there and I realized that I knew a whole heck of a lot more about it than most of the people that worked there. So that was where I started in banking. I started at one of the largest, if not the largest, banks in the nation, and learned very quickly that that was not the place for me to provide the customer service that I wanted to. I was scheduling appointments and opening accounts and not servicing anyone. It was literally just opening accounts. And I didn't want to do that. That didn't align with those core values. So I have since arrived at US Bank, and I do have a slide for Deborah to show while I share just a tiny bit about why I said this is I am the place that I love to be, and in the dream role that I have. Da, 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 da. Okay, so let's all, I mean, it's this way for me. I am at US Bank, and we have a lot of business resource groups, and one of them is US Bank Women. And recently we just had this discussion, so I thought I would share these things with you. So over 50% of all of our employees are women. Most excellent. When you think of a banker, when I think of a banker, even though I know that I'm a banker, when I think of a banker, I think of an old white man wearing a suit.
We all do, I think.
Wearing a suit with maybe too much cologne, and a stack full of business cards he's going to shove at me when I meet him somewhere. That's the vision. I want to break that. Over 50% of our bank employees are women. 3 of the women in executive positions. That doesn't mean we only have 3 women in executive positions. That means 3 of the women in executive positions have been honored by American Banker as the most powerful women in banking and finance. Yes, please. My picture could be there if that was the path that I desired. It's not the path that I desire, but if I wanted that to be my path, I have that opportunity here. And then also employing active duty or veterans. So those are pretty great statistics. We are headquartered in Minneapolis. The best things come from Minnesota. I say that because
that's because we're from Minnesota. That's why she's saying that.
Yes.
The best things aren't happening in Minneapolis right now, unfortunately.
No. But that's where we're from. And that's where our bank is headquartered. And on that note, since you brought that up, I don't want to just walk right past that. I will say that Andy Cesari, our CEO, has been very vocal with our bank, having those difficult conversations and providing support to our employees and our communities around everything that is happening, not just in Minnesota, but across the US and across the world. So that brings us to the most ethical companies. We just did it one more year. So that's exciting. All right. And
I've never heard the Ethisphere.
Ethisphere. Yes. It's an institute that looks at all different businesses. So if you look at one of the emails that I've sent you from my business address, you can click on the hyperlink that looks like that same logo, and it'll take you right to Ethisphere so you can see more about it.
So cool. Yeah. I love learning new things like that. I mean,
and I learned a lot about US Bank. I had no idea. That's really, I'm so glad you shared those statistics. And there's a lot of parallels between how you landed there and real estate. You took a leap of faith, right? I mean, it is the upside potential is amazing, and everybody's an accidental realtor, so it's okay. But let's talk, and most of our listeners today are business, they own businesses, either in a realtor, sole business or running a brokerage. And so let's talk a little bit about what are the key reasons why we should have a business banking relationship or a relationship with a business banker like yourself.
Okay, so I want to start with just a moment of pause to say, for everyone that is building a business or has maintained their business during a pandemic and all that has accompanied that, children not being in school, locations being closed down, the extra measures that are necessary in order to even show a property, all of those things, I commend you for that. It's a huge challenge. And so
yes, let's give ourselves a hand.
Woo! And it's hit, let's be honest, it's hit women a lot harder than it's hit men. And that is, you can't refute that, right? The she-cession is real. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Absolutely. I was accidentally listening to a podcast today as I was out in the garden, setting my mind, getting into the right mindset for this discussion. And I was listening to the the Daily by the New York Times, and they actually had opened a line. If you haven't heard this yet, take a peek. They opened up a line for women to call in and share their experience in a pandemic, and they literally, the most of them are screaming. They are these primal screams for help, saying that they have reached their limit. So it was really important to me to stop for a moment and say, I honor you. I see you. I don't know that I could have done the same. I'm grateful that my children are grown and are that I'm not schooling them, or I didn't. My daughter birthed during this time twice, and I don't think that was her vision of parenting, was going to be home alone and secluded. So, okay, so why should you know a business banker? Specifically, someone just like me. Well, now you know me, so we'll start there. There's a lot of great reasons to have a business banker on your side. So one is simply having that financial support. That doesn't mean your banker is going to give you money whenever you ask them for it. It means they can be your advocate, brainstorm ideas with you, develop a path, help connect you with others. One of the things that I have found is, let's start with the fact that I was on the initial PPP application team. For those who don't know, that's the Paycheck Protection Program. I love that US Bank was the first and only bank in round one to accept applications from non-customers. That meant you did not have to already be our customer to get help with this program. We wanted to help those who were sole proprietors first and foremost, and we did. And I was on that team, and I found that a lot of micro businesses commingle their funds. And
what's a micro business? Is that like a solopreneur or something? Or
yeah, so if we think small business in terms of banking is up to 2.5 million. So that's a big space, right? So we go even smaller than that. That's the sole proprietor who maybe has very limited needs, and they may be just starting, or they may have started a long time ago. Maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's something we're trying to move into full time. It's just this little zygote of a business still. Yeah. So
zygote.
So many were commingling their funds, and that's a term that means, keeping your business and personal funds, married to one another, right? They're in the same place. When the lender asks you for your proof of your income, you're like, I just withdraw money from the ATM, or I use my card.
Yeah.
And it made it very challenging, not impossible, but extremely challenging and much more stressful. So having a relationship with a banker was less stressful for those who needed to apply for a PPP and any other program like that.
Well, but before you go on, let me put this out there. So one of the things that we asked our community at the beginning of this month was, okay, for anybody who's opened their own brokerage, did you bootstrap it, or did you like raise capital, get money from someone else? 91%. So 91% of the respondents said they bootstrapped. And that means credit cards. That means writing checks out of their bank. That means, likely going into debt in some way, shape, or form. And what I love about what you're saying is you have someone who maybe you don't get approval, but at least you can call your business banking consultant and say, hey, I'm thinking about expanding. I'm thinking about this. Is there money out there available to me?
Absolutely.
Huge. And also, just to tack on to that, in times of, a global pandemic, what we did, we started a COVID relief hotline way in the beginning. And the number one piece of advice we said was talk to your business banker first, your small business account bank, go there first. Because if you had that relationship already established, it made it so much easier to go through the process to get those funds. And so it's not only true when you're starting, but it's also true when you get in trouble.
Absolutely. And credit is another area where trouble can happen. I'm fortunate to be able to participate in a financial literacy program that I teach to small businesses to help them understand if they've gotten themselves into debt, ways that they can get themselves out and hopefully avoid it in the future. And they're all very creative, very creative.
We love creative.
I know.
Especially when it means getting us out of debt, right? Because we know
Absolutely.
what we've heard over the years in our community, Laurie, is that what can hold women back is that they put everyone else's needs first, right? They send their kids to a fancier school that costs money versus going to the private school. They will wear last year's fashions and their kids will be in the newest, greatest, latest fabulousness, right? They will, even as bosses, right? They will make sure that their agents have the best of whatever they can provide and they pay themselves last. And so I love this idea of saying, like, you too should be taken care of. And part of that is to not get into debt. Part of that is, if you are, let's get you out. And you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
It's a 4-letter word that you can say in public. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm like, which 4-letter word? I see a lot in public. I shouldn't.
Too much.
I mean, that you're so right. You know, we have this negative stigma attached to anything that deals with money or debt or income.
Yeah.
I think it's more pronounced for women, not that it's not there for men, but I think, you know, there's a lot of not drama, but there's a lot of baggage around that.
For sure.
So let's see, helping us see where money exists, helping us get out of debt in creative ways. Anything else you want to make sure we know about as far as why it's important to develop a relationship?
Yes. So one more thing, and this is what I said initially, or what that you said in my bio, is that I meet businesses where they are. In doing that, it can be, oh, you are a business owner. That means you need these 5 things to grow your business. Well, hold on. What if I don't want to grow my business? What if my business is exactly the size that I want it to be, and my goal is actually something different? What if I'm at the stage of my business where I am considering selling it? So having that conversation with your banker is key, letting them know, this is where I am in my business. This is where I want to go. Let's create a path to get there. And that tiny conversation that you have with that banker may not only affect you, but it may have a ripple effect to every person that they come in contact after you. To have them pause for a moment and go, maybe I should be asking people where they're actually headed.
Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful. I'm seeing, I need a Laurie in the comments. Yes, you do. So before I ask my next question, how do they find a Laurie? Is this something they just call their bank up, like, and they're like, hey, do you have a Laurie there?
In addition to that, what I wanted to ask you, Laurie, what if we had some solopreneurs that were commingling and maybe not in that, you know, $2 million range, but is there a threshold where we should be reaching out to a business banker versus a personal?
Anytime you are taking in assets for your business, let's think about when you're filing your taxes. If you are doing any sort of write-offs that are related to a business, whether that's a portion of your phone, your internet, your office space, you are a business.
Yeah.
And then you need a business banker. Now, at US Bank, we have all different levels of bankers. We have business banking specialists. They're going to work with the smaller or startup businesses. We have relationship managers who are going to work with that 2.5 million to 10 million. Over 10 million, you have an emerging business manager. So there's something for everyone. Do not shy away from a business banker because you think your business is too small.
Yeah, no business is too small, what I'm hearing.
It is not too small. And we can talk more about that later as far as, other things that you can do with your business banker.
Sure.
But how do you find someone like that if you don't already have a relationship with a bank that offers business services? So some credit unions do not offer business accounts. That's generally where I see it. Or smaller banks sometimes do not offer a suite of business services. And so you can reach out to me directly and I'm in Sonoma County. Well, what does that do for you? There is a network of business consultants just like me all across the footprint of the bank. That's from the Mississippi West. We also have some locations outside of the states. They're not for like everyday use, but we are continuing to grow. We're the 5th largest bank and growing. So it's a great way to find, you can start with me and I will connect you with that person. That's the privilege of, of knowing someone. You've got someone on the inside.
I love that. Okay. So we do love stories around here, but I know that Sarah's next question is a perfect follow-up to what you just said about referrals. So
I was just curious, like how the networks work and how, being the realtor community that the WomanUP serves, like how can we tie that back into their actual business? And what does that look like from your perspective?
So every business owner is also an individual. That's a human who has everyday human needs. And in my experience, clients frequently ask me for my trusted resources. So we know when people need to upsize, downsize. I like to say right size. They need to right size their home for their current phase. They could be looking for commercial real estate. Maybe their parents need to move. Their kids are going off to college. They're married. They're growing their family or investing in real estate. We know them. And they're asking us for someone. And if you are connected with us, you could be one of our first calls. So I'm in a very niche market here. I live on the Russian River, and Russian River properties are very unique. There are unique properties other places in the world, but they're very unique here. So the first floor of my home is 8 feet above the ground because the water comes through here. Now, for real estate in the Russian River area, there are some pros who have been around for decades who have either sold the property, listed the property, shown the property, rented the property out. They know everything about it. And so when people ask for someone in the Russian River area, I have my few go-tos, and then they can choose what personality match works for them.
Yeah. Well, and it's a great reminder because we build referral resources as agents. Agents get the same questions, right? Like who's a painter, who's the general contractor, who can help me put a fence in, we're the landscapers. And so we're really known in our individual communities as that connector. And so I think that because we know that about ourselves as real estate professionals, and we know that women in general don't ask for things for themselves, that this is a beautiful way for us to give ourselves a gift in reaching out and becoming business partners with a banking consultant that will have our back, that will put us on their list. Like that's a beautiful thing.
It's so beautiful. And how many times, Deborah, have we talked about how we are not in this alone and it takes a village and we can depend on a business banker for all of our banking needs. And then that feeds us in different ways. So I can't agree more.
I love it. I love it. Sarah must have some. Is dad making noise again?
I don't know, some helicopters flying overhead.
I feel like everybody's vacuuming.
Oh, well, that would be a welcome noise, I think, to Sarah if somebody else was vacuuming around her house. Okay, so let's see. Let's circle around the virtual campfire. One of the things we love to do is hear stories, right? Because we often hear about kind of this horrific situation that happens, and then we hear the victory, but we kind of like the hot, messy middle because that's where we can all really connect. So, do you have a story that, when you're sitting around with your other BBCs that you're like, oh, I have a story for you. It is the best one I've had. Like inspire us with a fun story.
Okay, so I have two clients that come to mind when you say that. And when I think of the hot mess story, they're both hot mess stories. But the fact that they were such a hot mess and open about it, like completely vulnerable, things are chaotic and I need help and I'm willing to do what it takes to make the changes that are necessary. I have been privileged to see them from like the beginning to the end. So, well, there's no end, but to the current, the beginning to the current. So,
The beginning to the triumph.
Yes.
yes. Well, there's so much more that's going to happen. So, let's see. I'll give you the choice. The choice is either a drug and alcohol rehab that started in the garage or a hairdresser that was working for a major salon. So drugs and alcohol or hairdressing?
Hairdresser.
Yeah,
My
yeah, totally. And we're all like, please open the salon.
Let's talk about my hairdresser. Okay, so hairdresser happens to be someone who had been doing my hair. And we find sometimes that we are intruding on someone when we are offering them what we feel is unsolicited advice, but really may be something that they wish we would talk to them about because they just don't know. So this hairdresser was working at a major retailer that happens to have a salon inside, making an hourly wage and then tips. So she wasn't renting a station or anything like that. She was getting excellent training, learning all about color. Great resource for her. When I asked her what was next, she said she always wanted to open her own salon, but that she, in her words, knew that wasn't possible for someone like her. And I thought, what does someone like her mean? I see her as someone who is dedicated to their profession, who I am willing to let touch my hair. Like, come on.
Yeah, right.
High bar.
A most trusted human, right?
It really is a different level of trust when you let somebody touch your hair. I'm not gonna lie. Feel the same.
Sure. And so she was doubting herself in front of me while she's got foils all over my head. And I thought, this is not the best time to doubt yourself. So let's work on this. Let's start there.
Let's call that out for a second, because how many times have we all done that, right? We all have that negative self-talk and doubts, and hers just came out at the wrong time, but
hers came out at the best time because she had somebody supportive listening. It could help her rewrite that script. So that's what we did.
You guys are sisters. I could feel it.
I asked her what it would look like. So what would it look like if you had your own salon? And she hadn't thought that far. She hadn't, so we started with like, what kind of chairs would you put in there? What would the decor be? Would it be, she's like literally neck to fingertips in tattoos. And I thought, would you paint the walls black? What would we be doing in here? What other services would you like to offer?
Yeah, what kind of music would you play?
Right? Uh, what beverage?
Like a lot of fun.
Right? What beverage choices would there be? And each time we got together, this conversation built and built and built to the point where she was more excited about it than I was. So initially, I was more excited than she was. I was like, we are going to do this. We are going to do whatever it takes to get you up and running. Like I personally had no ability to either fund her myself or help her get lending due to some credit issues. So it was really about first that mindset. And I'm happy to report that she does now, all of these years later, she has her own salon. And who do you think that she called when a pandemic hit and she was forced to close down? We don't even live in the same area anymore. And her first call was, she FaceTimed me with like half of her hair in a pony and the other half down. And I thought, okay, first put yourself together. Let's put yourself together and let's make a plan. So we made a plan for what could you do? Now, there's nothing in it for me. The fact was that I was a trusted resource for her.
Yeah.
So we created this idea of, let's start with branding some hats and getting those out to your clients to cover up their roots while they're waiting for you to open.
Yes.
Get your name out there. You can do all of these great things. She's made it through. It was not easy for her, but she had the support that she needed. And so there's my favorite client story. Went from one who really believed that that wasn't possible for her to somebody who survived a pandemic as a personal services provider.
Is she back? Is she back and open again? And
Yes.
thriving?
Yeah, the county that she's in California is open for business as usual.
Can I just make a quick plug? Because in California, we've heard that there's PPP loans funds still available. So if you are struggling and have not applied for a PPP loan, there is still time. And I can get you that information. Just reach out to me. We can have our lender liaison, Mark Farfel, walk you through the process. Just let me know.
Yeah. So good. Well, and what I love about the story is, again, it doesn't have to only be in tragedy where we start the dreaming and the planning and the doing and the general taking of action, right? That this started because you started to dream. And so I dropped the question in the comments, and I would love for everybody in the community, those watching with us today, those catching the replay, like start thinking about asking the people in your world if they're dreaming about their next business, right? And sharing the idea of we don't have to wait until we have enough money in the bank to make our dreams come true, that there are resources that we can access, that of course we have to make the first step, right? Now, the title, business banking consultant. And the most important thing is for you to write down that title so that you connect with one too, because we're here. These stories, these reminders, right? That there are options. And we know, again, that there are some women in this industry killing it by when the market goes down, they gobble things up, right? Our friend Terry, oh gosh, Terry's name's escaping me. Her last name.
King. Is that King?
Yes, Terry King. Totally. Where she runs into the fire of when the economy starts going down, she runs in. But not everyone has that risk-taking gene per se.
Mhm.
And so this alleviates some of that risk, right? Because you're actually partnering with someone. I love that. Okay, so we've talked about PPE, we've talked about ways to kind of make your dream a reality. And I know that there were a couple of other things like the recent Stimulus and Relief Act that did affect business lending for some startups, established businesses. So is there anything that our community who are business owners right now, like what do they need to know about that?
Okay. So in thinking about that, my first thought is this could be viewed at any time. And so what I say today may not be the same information a week from now, a month from now. So it's a moving target. That's why what I recommend to, I really recommend it to all of the clients that I come in touch with. And that is utilizing the Small Business Administration
Ooh.
and the Small Business Development Center. So these are both free resources. I will send the links to Deborah for her to get out to everyone. So with the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, I'll send a link that will allow you to just put in your zip code and it will give you access to the center nearest you. They are everywhere. What they provide is a complimentary counseling service. They have mentors that will take you through everything that you need for your business, including, prepare yourself for this, including filling out loan applications like the PPP loan. So you may have experienced if you applied for the initial round one, your banker couldn't help you, and that's not because we didn't want to, that's because we're regulated. So we're not allowed to advise you on how to complete an application. The SBDC can. They can tell you what documentation to provide. They can tell you exactly what documentation to provide, and they are supported by the Small Business Administration. So it's all complimentary services to you. I work very closely with them and put on financial wellness workshops with the ones in my area. And there may be those types of workshops available to you in your area as well. And beyond that, they have opportunities for you to be a mentor to others. So if that's where your passion lies, it's all volunteer. You would volunteer to be a mentor with them. So connect with your SBDC and the SBA, and the SBA can lead you to all of the programs that they have now, as well as connect you with a preferred lender in your area.
Oh, I love that. Well, I want to shout out really quickly because I don't know if you saw it, Sarah, but Sabrina Brown, one of our wild wave maker women, just said it out loud, typed it out loud. I am dreaming of expanding.
Congratulations, Sabrina. That makes me so happy.
So yeah, Sabrina, definitely get in touch with Laurie and let her get you connected to the right and best person for you. I love that. We'd love to see you roar a little louder, if that's possible. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Laurie, go ahead.
No.
Sorry.
Everybody at once, please.
I'm like, I just want to make sure we've covered everything. We've covered stories. We've talked about the relationship. We've talked about referrals. We've talked about the stimulus and getting in touch with, I love this I didn't know about this, the SBDC or whatever the acronym is, SBDC. Yeah. So I love that. What else, Sarah?
I have a personal question.
Ask away.
So we share a passion, the Peloton.
Yeah.
And who's your favorite instructor and why?
Christine Diercole, CDE. She has the best music. She is a professional gold or medal winning cyclist.
Wow.
I connect with her in a way. She has a way with her words, and she has a mantra. I am, I can, I will, I do. Oh, meow. I love it.
Meow.
Wow.
She reminds me to be in my body where it is, to not worry about the competing on the leaderboard, to imagine it turned sideways, we're all riding in a pack rather than competing with one another, and to close my eyes and just ride the damn bike.
It looks like people are adding in some of their favorite instructors as well. So of course, let's spread the love for all. What is the Peloton? Is there a name for Peloton riders? Do you have like a name in your community, like a Pelotoners or
One Peloton.
Ooh,
I knew
I
though.
don't know.
I'm in I call it a Pello fam. So Pello fam, Pello
Oh, Pello fam. Yeah, Pello fam, drop in, who you love, why you love them. If you've got a special ride that you love to do. I know we have Sandra and Nikki with Engel and Volker as one of our sponsor partners. They really wrangled together some cool rides last year for the conference. And I know Sandra still is not on her bike yet. She actually broke her back. But she is getting ready to get back on the bike. And so I have a feeling that we are going to have springing into summer rides here in the community. So we'll make sure to get everybody connected on that. It's 2:52, which means
It's about that time.
about that time.
I felt like I was sitting at the family dinner table listening to the best financial advice, and I could see the familial ties between the two of you. It was beautiful. So, Laurie, do you have any final words of wisdom to share with the WomanUP community and myself?
Yes, I do. Take notes, grab a pen, listen later, listen, re-listen. Surround yourself with professionals. Surround yourself with professionals. Your banker, a bookkeeper or bookkeeping software, be it a tax preparer, an enrolled agent, a CPA, and utilize tools that are easy to use and have room to grow. So all of those things together will really help set you up for less anxiety should something go awry, and allow you to focus on your passion, and let those of us who are passionate about numbers and charts and figures to do that. So speak up about the vision for your business. Any perceived obstacles that you may have, say them out loud to your banker, your bookkeeper, your CPA, and let them help you solve those problems.
Say them out loud. I love it. I love it. I think that's so great. Surround yourself with professionals. Sarah and I often say this even when we're talking with our sponsor partners, that we have developed our own lanes in our partnership here in Leading Woman Up, and that it is so important that we know each other's lanes. We know what's happening in each other's lanes, but we know that's hers. This is mine. And together we create something amazing. And again, we as women know we juggle so many things. We are known to be better at things like multitasking. And we also know that many of the women and men in this community are control freaks. We fly the freak flag of control proudly, and we need to release that. And so we appreciate your words and the reminder that we are worthy of surrounding ourselves with professionals. We are worthy. You are worthy, everyone. Oh my goodness, this has been so much fun. I love hanging out with two sisters. A sister from the same mister and a sister from a different mister. I love it. I love it. I love it. So if anybody has any other questions for Laurie, AKA Sissy, drop them in the comments and we'll make sure to get them to her. If you are catching the replay, feel free to do the same. Thank you everyone for joining us this week. We are so honored to share the time with you. For those Peloton, the Pello fam, Hello, fam. Keep dropping in your usernames or whatever you call them.
More followers. Thank you.
Clearly, I know people are. Angel City Sarah is Sarah's. For those of you who asked who didn't see it, Angel City Sarah. Oh my goodness, that is awesome. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. Make sure you join us next Friday. I will not be here. I am unplugging. So Sarah and Leslie are driving the train with Ms. Jennifer Branchini. And again, mark your calendar for April 30th. We'll have a super short show with a quick couple of updates. And then Sarah is going to roll into moderating a badass panel discussion about the paths to building wealth and financial management. So until we see you next week, or until I see you on the 30th, have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye.